to appreciate here is that we are not going to fix things overnight. Joe Biden left us, this is not an exaggeration, Lawrence, with the largest peacetime debt and deficit in the history of the United States of America, with sky-high interest rates. You don't fix that stuff overnight. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can to fix what was left to us, but it's not going to happen immediately.
Yes, Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance on the Fox News Channel this morning with Lawrence Jones talking about the tariffs. The Democrats are trying to turn it into nuclear Armageddon because, they got to wreck the world in order to save it. They don't really want to save it. They just want to wreck it, let's be honest. And a very good Thursday to you. Welcome once again. We continue to be reached at 888-630-9625. Yeah, I do want to get to this dim-witted woman Democrat named Chapel Roan. Chapel Roan. Somebody, you tell me she's not a heterosexual woman, is that correct? And she looks like she's recreating the Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. She has an odd idea of color. Color is a mystery to her. But she doesn't understand the world that she has decided to live in. I'll explain it to her when we get to her. But that was J.D. Vance this morning doing an interview, and that's because it's a big deal. You know, President Trump imposing tariffs on a lot of countries in an effort to reset the trade imbalances from which the United States suffers. We have cut trade deals with even our allies around the world that have been detrimental to us and beneficial to them in terms of economics. And President Trump is trying to hit the reset button. The Democrat Party, the party of the status quo and of Molotov cocktails, they're very angry about this, very angry indeed. And President Trump at the White House yesterday, outside in the Rose Garden with giant American flags surrounding him, and the colonnade. You say colonnade or colonnade? I usually say colonnade. I was saying colonnade mockingly because it's more pretentious and that amuses me. But the Canadians, we had the Prime Minister there, Mark Carney, and he's like, well, it's going to change the international trading system, says the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, with the imposition of new tariffs that are designed to benefit the United States of America. And the Democrats don't want any trade relationships that benefit the United States of America because they're not on our side. And let me go to Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King, and the Democrat leader in the United States Senate. Just a lizard, a reptilian, a scaly person who is definitely not on our side. He is not with us. And he was out there yesterday very angry with President Trump for trying to reset trade imbalances that currently exist to the detriment of the United States of America, because Chuck Schumer is one of the people. What did I look up yesterday? Chuck Schumer, who was first, and he's complaining about this, almost made me laugh, except it really shouldn't make us laugh, but it almost made me laugh, with Chuck Schumer saying stuff like this yesterday because he's the Lizard King.
Donald Trump is set to unleash the most reckless tsunami of tariffs Americans have seen in over half a century.
Well, interestingly, Chuck Schumer was first elected to the House of Representatives in 1980. So he's been around for almost a half century in Congress. And when he came into the House of Representatives, I looked it up yesterday on the Internet. Have you heard about this Internet thing? It's got lots and lots of information. Half of it is wrong, but you can find lots of information. This is right, though. I double-checked it. Chuck Schumer, first elected to the House of Representatives 1980, sworn in January 3rd, 1981. And when he was sworn in, the national debt, now $36 trillion. The national debt then was less than $1 trillion. It was about $900 billion, which is still a lot of money. But it's an awful lot less than the $36 trillion that we have now. So I would tell the Lizard King that you do not have the standing to complain about the national debt. since the $36 trillion debt. You presided over the period where we added $35 trillion plus to the national debt. You do not have the standing to complain about the national debt. All right? Again, elected 1980 to the House of Representatives, sworn in January 1981. The national debt was $908 billion or something, way under $1 trillion. And Chuck Schumer has the temerity, being the weasel that he is, to come out and say things like this.
It will increase the deficit on the United States by $30 trillion, virtually doubling it.
Now, he's talking. First of all, I want to play that again, because what he's talking about is the national debt. But he says it will increase the deficit. So these decades later, a half century later, he watched us add $35 trillion to the $36 trillion national debt, dollar national debt. And he's talking about the debt, but he calls it the deficit. As I like to point out, because it's true, they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. The Lizard King.
Donald Trump is set to unleash the most It will increase the deficit on the United States by $30 trillion, virtually doubling it.
That's not the deficit. That's the debt. You are a moron, on top of being the Lizard King and having watched the national debt go from less than $1 trillion to $36 trillion. You should step aside. Send a 20-year-old moron in there like AOC or so. Oh, she was out there yesterday, too, being a maroon. And aren't she amazing? Hakeem Jeffries, he was mentored and raised by his anti-Semite uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, who hates the Jews more than just about any armband-wearing, goose-stepping Democrat. I think they're Democrats now. You know, Adolf Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party. Isn't Bernie Sanders a member of the Socialist Workers' Party? And isn't it weird that socialism rises inside the Democrat Party and anti-Semitism is suddenly rampant across the United States? Is that a coincidence? I'm just wondering. You know, the Soviets, they threw their Jews into gulags, much like the Nazis, and you know, the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, and now the Democrats, they're the left, they're Socialist Party. Bernie Sanders likes to spit food out and say, it's the Democratic Socialists. It's like, yeah, calm down there, pal. Somebody hit him with a tranq dart, would you? Hakeem Jeffries, not on our side.
Republicans are crashing the American economy in real time and driving us to a recession. This is not Liberation Day, it's Recession Day in the United States of America.
This is
That's what the Trump tariffs are going to do. Crash the economy.
This is their dream. This is their fantasy. He went to sleep last night dreaming about it, and I don't want to get into the details, but he's really looking forward to. This is what they're hoping for. And to the extent that the Democrats in Washington and Congress can contribute to economic damage in the United States, they will crash their cars into each other just to make sure that it gets worse and worse. Because what's bad for America is good for Hakeem Jeffries. What's bad for all Americans, 330 million of us, not counting the tens of millions of illegal alien criminals that the Democrats waved into the country to attack your daughters. If it's bad for the United States of America, bad for 330 million of us, the Democrats want to see it because it's good for them. That's the way they see it, because all they want is power and to win elections. And, you know, like that crooked left-wing Wisconsin Supreme Court race day before yesterday, peculiar race. CNN their middle name used to be News. Now it's something else altogether that I can't say here. CNN, they've got a guy named Phil Mattingly. Sounds like he should be playing shortstop or something, doesn't it? Phil Mattingly at CNN. The economy, oh no, the Republicans are bad.
It is not as bad as it could have been had he done a 20% universal tariff on everybody. It is significantly more than I think a lot of people thought he was going to do based on their experience in the first term, and they would key on words on him saying, we're going to be lenient, or maybe we're not going to go far. And his advisors would say 15 different things on various days. To be very clear, we have not seen anything like this in 6 or 7 decades, perhaps longer. This is a moment where the restructuring of the global trade order is underway. We'll see what happens.
6 or 7 decades ago, we had essentially no national debt. And then the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans and the Go Along to Get Along Republicans took over. Now we're $36 trillion in national debt. And what is that, like 170% of GDP, something insane. And we used to say 100% of GDP in debt was death to your economy. And then we just, stop saying that. Stop saying that out loud. We don't want, now our debt has exceeded the gross domestic product. We've got to stop saying that it's bad to have a national debt that's greater than your GDP. So everybody in Washington stopped saying that because, they're crooks. All right, let's see. Let's take a phone call, Michael. Go to the telephones. Let's go to Donna calling from Frederick, Maryland. Donna, oh, Donna, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Oh, good morning, Chris. I love your show. You always put a smile on my face. And with that, I don't want to go to frown mode, but I have to tell you, when I listened to Trump speak yesterday and he held up that board with those tariffs on it, I was in awe over how many countries have been taking us to the cleaners for how many decades. It infuriated me. There might have been 1 or 2 where the tariffs were equaled out. But that just told me that, we've been getting raked over the coals for our lifetime. Certainly you and I remember when I mentioned this yesterday, when Kennedy was shot, it was like after that, the globalists hit the ground running, and they set us up big time, and we've become the world's giant piggy bank. And I think that time is coming to an end, and they can screech and reel all over the place. Too bad, so sad for them.
Too bad, so sad. And it's, look, since World War II, when we went into Europe and with the Soviet Union, they paid a heavy price, but, they didn't liberate anyone. They enslaved people when they drove the Nazis out. They just replaced the Nazi flag with the Soviet flag, and otherwise everything else pretty much stayed the same. But we actually liberated Western Europe and said, hey, let's all be capitalists together. Let's be happy and get along and engage in free trade, and we'll keep the oceans and the waterways of the world clear and free for everyone to engage in trade. Now, with the Houthis out there creating a choke point at an already existing choke point of the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. And we're trying to knock the Houthis down to stop that. And the Europeans are nowhere to be found. They're at home throwing bonbons to the back of their throats to knock their uvula around and slurping some not-so-fussy Chardonnay while we're doing all the heavy lifting for them once again because, the Europeans have gotten quite presumptuous, haven't they, Donna, since we've been providing for them physical security, military security, war and peace, and economic security. And then when the opportunity comes for them to pay us back with fair trade, they don't.
Yeah, they've abandoned us. You know what? The hubris of these people is outstanding. They thought that their whole global enterprise would be around forever. That's their mistake because the people are smarter. They've underestimated the American public, the patriots at large. Everything that's happening now is happening for a reason. It's going to take time. And if people have to take a few lumps and bumps, like I'm sure you did, like I did in the private sector, so be it. Nobody gave me a severance when I lost my work. So it's, we just got to roll with it. And I've given it to God, and things have worked out much better for me. But I just wanted to share that. We'll be all right. We'll survive.
That's right. And look, and I said, Donna, a little earlier that there are people even inside the administration saying it's going to be a year, maybe even a year and a half until we can re-normal all of this trade. And, Donna, I've got a story about the Ford Motor Corporation. Ford Motors, a big plan. They're responding to this, and I have that coming up. For you. So stick around for what Ford has decided to do. Great stuff. Donna, thank you. Thank you for the lovely call. Wonderful, wonderful. God is good. Very, very good. You know that the all-new Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally available to you and to me. This new Thunderstorm uses two different technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria floating in the air. Also, it knocks down dust and pet stuff and a whole lot more from the air that you breathe. And it helps get rid of any odor. No filters to replace. So, that annoying task is put to rest with the Thunderstorm. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Talking about litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, left-wing protesters, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because you hang out with me, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection for you. Put one in your basement, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200. Thank me later on 3 thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah. Wait till you hear what Ford is doing. And this crazy left-wing person, Chapel Roan, who should probably be, she's an influencer, ought to be on suicide watch. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. I've got updates for you on the FBI and Ford Motor Corporation and this crazy woman that is a liberal and misunderstands the world around her. I'm looking at the clock. I don't have enough time to go to a call. I rudely cut off Rick a bit earlier because I ran out the clock. It happens a lot. This clock is not my friend. I don't like the clock. But I've got great stories for you because there are good things happening. There are definitely good things happening, and I want to share the good things with you coming up and to get to the telephones as well. But let me just let's start with this good news from the FBI, and that's important. That matters. Bad news from the Democratic Party because they don't like people. They don't like people. Large, small, in between. They just don't like people. And they're very, very concerned about the economy all of a sudden. Isn't that amazing? Because I think we had an economy for the 4 years of the Biden administration, didn't we? And how was that? Was that the perfect economy? Was that a wonderful economy? I have updates coming right up. All right, a couple of news items that you might want to share around the dinner table tonight. This is a good one from the White House, actually, a rapid response on X, which we call Twitter and X also. The Ford Motor Corporation will offer employee pricing to all U.S. shoppers. Employee pricing on Ford automobiles to all U.S. shoppers. Quote, for the next couple of months, we're going to offer our custom. This is pretty good stuff. It's like being an employee. For the next couple of months, we're going to offer our customers the same deal that our employees get. That's worth thousands of dollars, the Ford Motor Corporation. And Steve Crawley is out there, the Ford Chief Policy Officer. They have a chief, CPO. He's like CPO Sharkey over here. He's got Ford offering employee pricing to all customers. I've always wanted a Ford F-150. Now, I live in the city, in a city with very narrow streets, so I drive a much smaller car that's turbocharged and very fast. I break the sound barrier a couple of times a day. But that is kind of a big deal. The Ford Motor Corporation offering employee pricing to all U.S. customers, all U.S. shoppers. That is something. Man, oh, Manischewitz. And also it's it's not a bad idea. A lot of Fords are made in Mexico, merry old Mexico. So you vacuum up all the cars made in Mexico and start selling them off because things might be a-changing. We want to start making more of our Ford automobiles here in the United States of America. And if there is going to be a penalty on a Ford automobile made in Mexico when compared to a Ford automobile made in the United States of America, that's, it would be good for jobs. And Ford will say, we should have more manufacturing plants in the United States because we're not saving as much as we had originally thought with the cheap labor in Mexico. And we can, and look, it may, if everything is made in the United States of America, we pay people in the United States of America more. So it may end up costing us more for a pair of Levi's made in the United States, for a Ford F-150 pickup truck, the number one vehicle in the United States of America, because we love our pickup trucks. And I've always wanted a really cool pickup truck. I had a really crummy Mazda pickup truck when I was in college in California. I think brand new, I know. Brand new, it cost $5,700. A Ford, not a Ford, a Mazda B2000 pickup truck. And I drove it until a limousine broadsided me in Washington, D.C., and totaled it. But that's not important now. But that's a big deal, the Ford Motor Corporation and the White House putting that out. So if you've been thinking about buying a car, been thinking about getting a Ford or a Ford pickup truck in particular, pretty good stuff. So the Ford story is a big story. It's a good story. I like this story. Now, there's another story. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, taken over recently by Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI. You know him from, I'm guessing, probably the radio station on which you're listening to me right now. But Kash Patel, FBI director. Now, here's the story. The Fox News Channel has the headline, FBI flooded, I tell you, with record number of new agent applications. What? What's this? The FBI has been flooded with a record. They've been around for a while now, about 100 years. The FBI flooded with a record number of new agent applications in Kash Patel's first month. Wow. He's been leading the Bureau for no time at all. The FBI saw 5,577 new agent applications in March alone, and more than 10,000 since January. That's kind of a big deal. Now, these are people who grew up thinking, I want to be an FBI agent when I grow up. And then the FBI kept, poking itself in the eye with a sharp stick over and over again. I say it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. The FBI was doing a lot of that's not better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick kind of stuff. But the FBI received a record number of new agent applications in Kash Patel's first month leading the Bureau, with the flood of law enforcement job seekers nearly doubling the monthly average since 2016. There were 5,577 new FBI agent applications submitted in the month of March alone. Fox News Digital has learned. The last time the Bureau saw a monthly figure even close to that number was April of 2016, with 5,283 applications. By comparison, the monthly average in 2023 was 2,797. So it went up to 5,577. Pretty amazing stuff. Womp, womp, womp. And why is that? It's kind of like the U.S. military, because since Donald Trump came back in, the number of people enlisting in the U.S. military has also skyrocketed because so many people saw Joe Biden in charge and said, I don't think I want to join the Marine Corps or the Air Force while Joe Biden is the commander-in-chief, because why would I? The Democrats are not on our side, and they'll put you in harm's way, and than leave you hanging like they did with our people in Benghazi during the Obama-Biden administration. And Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, was a diplomatic mission in Benghazi, Libya. And when the terrorist army attacked the Biden administration, the Obama-Biden administration, and Hillary Clinton, as the chief diplomat, left our people to die in Benghazi. But now, honestly, here's the headline from News Nation, February 5th of 2025. Army recruiting hits record high after Trump win. Now, how can that be? Isn't that amazing? It's record high because Trump won. The Army enlisted 350 soldiers every day in December of 2024. That was after President Trump won the election, and we all knew that he would be inaugurated in January because patriots didn't want to serve under these radical left-wing, and especially Joe Biden, whose brain doesn't work at all and hasn't worked for a long, long time, dragging around a 6-ounce folding chair on the beach wherever he was. It was the most productive December in the military branch, the Army, for 15 years. America's youth want to serve under bold and strong leadership, said Pete Hegseth at the time. So what is happening in the U.S. military with people that had been holding back, young people have been holding back, saying, I'm not going to join while these idiots are in charge. And then they lost, Trump and the Republicans coming in, and suddenly recruitment rises 12.5%. The Department of Defense, amazing stuff. The Army is, under Biden, people were fleeing the military and retiring early and all that stuff. So, again, U.S. Army sees record high recruitment numbers, fixing the crisis in U.S. military recruitment. Now we see the same thing happening with the FBI, because who would want to be in Joe Biden's FBI and under that creepy Merrick Garland attorney general, and a corrupt FBI that was being embarrassed, publicly humiliated on an ongoing basis because Democrats, and really the one-word explanation for all of this is just Democrats. All right, now let's go to this idiot woman, this Democrat woman named Chapel Roan. Chapel Roan. Now, Chapel Roan sings songs. She is a woman who likes to dress up as a drag queen. Now, that's kind of weird because she's already a woman. She is a gay woman. She's the L. She puts the L in LGBTQ. And her hair is kind of gasoline red, and she puts on clown makeup that makes her look like she's auditioning for a remake of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And with a couple of songs under her belt, she became what the left likes to call an influencer. So she goes on social media and says idiotic things that she gets wrong. And now she's out there. She's making a big splash this week because she was doing an interview on a podcast, wasn't everybody? And decided to talk about, again, she's the L in LGB, and everybody loves lesbians, let's be honest, Men love lesbians. Women are fine with lesbians, just they're lesbians. Everybody understands them, I think. So that's fine. Maybe not this one because she's insane, but that's because of her politics, not her sexual orientation. So Chapel Roan says that all the young parents that she knows, parents with young kids, are in hell, and that having children is a horrible thing. She's a Chapel Roan. The radical left-wingers at BuzzFeed, if you're offended by Chapel Roan's comments about parenthood, anti-parenthood, right, and her friends who have kids and parents not handling it well, then there's something wrong with you, because you should be against parenthood, just like Chapel Roan. And here's Chapel Roan on a ridiculous podcast saying that she apparently allegedly knows people that have children, and the children are young, and the existence of the children made their lives a living hell.
All of my friends who have kids are in hell. I don't know anyone. I actually don't know anyone who's like happy and has children at this age. I have like a 1-year-old, like 3-year-old, 4 and under, 5 and under. I literally have not met anyone who's happy, anyone who has like light in their eyes, anyone who has slept.
I don't know anyone who is happy is the key to that, because that's really I mean, if you were her psychiatrist, and I'm sure she has at least one psychiatrist, the key to that was, I could see, Dr. Freud sitting on the couch and say, wait, Shepherd, you said in there that you don't know anyone who is happy.
I literally have not met anyone who's happy.
I literally have not met anyone who is happy. And I heard this, and I saw it yesterday, even a couple of days ago, and I said, well, wow, that's a commentary on you. You are miserable. And the people, she's a leftist, of course, and the L is not for leftist, but she could be an LL, leftist lesbian. And that's fine. You can be whatever you want to be. You want to be a leftist lesbian, knock yourself out. But it sounds to me like I actually don't know anyone who is happy, tells you everything you need to know, and that's because she hangs out with leftists.
I literally have not met anyone who's happy.
And the reason for the explanation for that, Chaperone, I can explain it to you. Leftists are miserable and unhappy, and your friends are all leftists, and you're a leftist. And leftists are miserable. They're miserable because they despise people. And that's why they love 1 million abortions a year. That's just like a good start, like lawyers at the bottom of the ocean. And she literally doesn't know anyone who's happy. And if you have a baby, I got to say, if you're going to have a baby, I am childless, and I'm signing the cross right now. One of the most important decisions I made in my lifetime. And for me, it was the right decision. I've been busy. I was too busy to devote my time to, a newborn baby. And I grew up in a house full of people, one of 6 brothers, number 4 out of 6 brothers. And, my younger brothers, babies. My youngest brother is 9 years younger than me. And my oldest brother, 5 years older than me. My single mother raising 6 boys by herself. And when I got out of the house, I loved the idea of a little peace and quiet. Finally got a little peace and quiet. And there was no point at which I said, you know what I want? A screaming baby in the tub over there. And I knew that that's not something that I wanted. So I didn't do it. But you lefties are so stupid that say, I'll just, you got to presumably have a relationship of some kind and then be pregnant and carry to term and have a baby, and then it's supposed to be a goal, something you want to do. But she and her friends, there's a great old saying about these people. They're not happy unless they're not happy. And when they're not happy, they finally get a little bit of happiness. And they love being a victim. And everybody she knows, and she claims to know people that have children, and they're all unhappy. They're all in hell because, procreation. Normal is not their thing.
All of my friends who have kids are in hell.
There you go. Seek help. You need medication and a psychiatrist, which you're probably already being accommodated on both of those fronts, thanks to Big Pharma and the patriarchy. You're welcome. You know that this country was built on hard work and grit. And whether you spend your hours standing, running errands on your feet all day long, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain and ankle pain and all that stuff. That's where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with patented VersaShock technology. I was wearing my G-Defy shoes on Sunday, hiking around the mall for the cherry blossoms, my best girl and I. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, has authorized G-Defy to tell you and all of us that these shoes will help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock, align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step that you take. My best girl and I, we've got our G-Defy shoes. Make your arches feel good after a long hike. Get 50% off your order of $120 right now by texting Chris to 91888. 91888, text Chris. Or you can head to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to gdefy.com, GDEFY.com, and use the code Chris because you know me. That's great stuff. With GDefy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates apply. Yes, sir. Yeah. Chapel Roan, she doesn't know anybody who's happy. You're hanging out with people that are like you. You need a good hosing off with a power washer and a new blend of medications thanks to Big Pharma.
I literally have not met anyone who has like light in their eyes.
The stock market is way down this morning. The Dow down about 1,500. And they're saying, hey, we're in a bit of a scrum here. We're going to take a hit for a while, and then we're going to come back, and the long term will be better for everyone. I certainly hope, and honestly, I believe that will work out properly. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Greg calling from Manassas, Virginia. Greg, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How you doing?
Very well, Gregory. Thank you.
Yeah. So, the Democrats, they changed the definition of what a recession is, and we're just supposed to all go along with that. And now they're all excited about this going on now. So it's just you want to have it both ways with this. And,
as usual, there's a saying in Washington that we should never use, and that is, you can't have it both ways. That's a dumb saying because the Democrats have it both ways quite constantly, don't they? And you're right. They changed it. 3 consecutive fiscal quarters of negative economic growth would be a recession, except under Biden, in which case the New York Times said, well, that's not a recession anymore, right?
Right. So in all honesty, this is a little bit nervous for me as well because, I'm a commercial general contractor. And I've had potential clients say, I'm not doing this job while Joe Biden's in office, which is holding up quite a bit of money in my livelihood. So, it's,
while Joe Biden's in office or while Donald Trump's in office?
No, while Joe Biden was in office.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully your business will rebound now. And look, President Trump is trying to reset the table, and that will probably come with a punch.